Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Yanks the Cop. We are doing our special Liverpool versus Crystal Palace preview, final day of the season. So it's a big one. As always, I'm joined by my host, Sophie. How are you doing, Sophie?
I'm good, thank you.
And today we've got a special guest, a recurring guest who's been on the show previously. We've got Steve, big Crystal Palace fan. How are you doing, Steve?
How you doing, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Pleasure.
It's our pleasure, Steve. So just going to kind of straight away, really dive into it, Steve. So, obviously it's now the final day of the season. When you look back of it, like when you first started the season to how it is now, how has the season gone for you as a Palace fan? Have you reached expectations, or has it been actually kind of like, in a way, like not reached what you expected when you were first predicting how you were going to end up the season?
I think it's been a really draining season for Palace fans. I mean, as you know, I kind of entice a lot of different opinions on our social media options that are out there, but I just think we've been sort of coming towards the end of the season, just sort of spending that time, whiling that time down before Hodgson leaves. And the fact that it was announced on Sunday was perfect, because I can tell you now, in my opinion, and others disagree, if we'd have got to the game against Arsenal in the week and we'd lost and the fans were there and Hodgson not leaving wasn't announced, it could have got quite toxic, in my opinion. I just think, you guys will know. You've had him at your club. You know what it's like.
Don't we just?
It's just... I just think as he's got older, as every year has gone by, he's got worse.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't think that's possible with a manager, but my God, it's different for you guys because you attack, you go for games, you try and score, you try and put teams away. Whereas we'll spend 85 minutes defending a game and think that's a success. It's just grim. But I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened against Villa at the weekend. And for 20 minutes against Arsenal, I don't know what happened. Like, we attacked. But the season overall, it's been some ups and downs. There's been some sort of results to highlight. The 4-1 win against Leeds, that was fantastic. The 3-1 win against Manchester United at Old Trafford, that was fantastic. And to be fair, West Brom have been beaten by a lot of teams, but 5-1 at their place, I thought that was a great result. So there's been some great results, but there's been some horrific ones. The 7-0 loss against you guys, that was hard to take. I think it lasted about 2 weeks. I was rinsed for. I couldn't even get on the timeline. It was that bad.
Is that it?
So yeah, it's that wasn't ideal. And 4-0 against Chelsea, 4-0 against Man City. You expect to lose against teams like yourselves and those, but not to be smashed like that.
Yeah.
And defence is something that we're quite well known for. Last season we were up there with the best. So this season just the polar opposite. So yeah, overall it's another season. We survived. We're going into the 9th season in our Premier League tenure. So in that respect, I'm delighted. But the football, no, it's the polar opposite. It's horrific to watch.
So we were just talking about it before we came live. Obviously, we lost to Arsenal the other day. Just again, I know we talked about it before. How are you feeling about that loss? And do you think that the lads are kind of just switched off now? And like you said, you expect to go up against these big teams and lose. Do you think the lads are just going to be at that? Let's just get tomorrow over with. Like they're just the heads elsewhere with it now.
I think. We'll go back to a couple of bright spots. Zaha scoring the most goals he scored in a season has been very good to sort of see. Eze, the way that he's played throughout the season has been fantastic, and then the injuries, it's a horrific injury to receive. But Benteke has been on fire. He's been pushing because he knows he needs to get a new contract. But weirdly, he's been played right by Hodgson. Normally, he's asked to drop deep 25 yards. But this time around, in the last sort of 7 or 8 games, he's just pushed up front and stayed there, and it's given us the opportunity to be in games rather than, be out of them very quickly.
So just going to go in the chat here. Alan Holloway says, obviously, hi, Sophie, homie, and guest. Chris Welch says, evening, everyone. Good to see you, Chris. Yeah, I'm back with the retro shirt tonight. Good to see you, Seamus. Chris Welch wasn't Hodgson's fault. He was Liverpool manager. It was Tupa Pigmorans who chose him as manager. That's true. One of the worst manager choices we've ever done in the last 20 years. Chris Welch says, to you, Steve, do you think that Crystal Palace lack ambition? I always feel that you should be targeting higher than just being happy to reach the 40 points mark every season.
I think we've been guilty of, if you look at any football team, it doesn't matter which one, the philosophy is always stated at the beginning of the season or prior in the pre-season. And I think Hodgson just hasn't been able to transform that to the rest of the players. He hasn't been able to sort of say to them, right, guys, in his mind, he's been told, right, we need to be safe. That's fine. But if you were a manager and you were told that, what would you say to your team? You'd say, guys, we need to aim for the top 10. And that's the club's philosophy. In the players' mind, they're thinking, right, we need to really push rather than just accept mediocrity and accept survival. It's kind of the way that we've played under Hodgson, and it's progressively got worse each season. So, yeah, it's been very, very frustrating, to say the least.
And make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done already. Helps us get the channel out to more people. And do obviously let people know that we're now on Periscope, so you can watch us live on Twitter, and you can also watch us live on Twitch now as well. So, there's more areas for you to watch the Yankees the Cop. Just looking at the chat here, good to see you, My Reds Television. Chris Welch also talking about the Benteke overhead goal that he scored at Old Trafford. We'll never forget that. That was a great goal. So, what's the general feel of Hodgson leaving? Like, are Palace fans jumping for joy? Because I know when he left Liverpool, that was like one of the best days, the last 20 years, because he filled our club with like absolute dross, and the way he spoke as if we were like some kind of Fulham team, or saying to us like drawing with teams like Fulham were a great result for Liverpool in our history, and he just didn't understand the club or what we were about. So yeah, how are you guys feeling? Because I know you obviously he's kept you up and he's got you. You're probably going to finish around 13th, 14th, 15th. But man's like a dinosaur. His tactics and his way he sees the game. So like, are you guys happy he's going, or did you want him to stay?
I wanted him to stay from the moment that he was appointed. I have to be honest. There's a lot of fluctuations in opinion, especially on social media. I mean, like I said before we started recording, I do entice a difference in opinion. I do kind of push people's buttons, but for me, it doesn't matter who the manager is. When you're playing in the Premier League, which is the biggest league in the world, you need to be playing to win, regardless of the opposition. You need to be thinking, we need to take the game to the team that we're playing against. And at home this season, other than the 4-1 win against Leeds, you couldn't tell, not for 1 second in any game, who the home side was, correlated to us. You always thought that the away side was the home side. So the feeling, I think, across vast waves of people is that we're delighted he's going. It's the right time to go. But some of the old stalwarts, some of the sort of, I don't know, the people that believe in old management styles and stuff like that seem to be quite sad about it. For me, I'm absolutely delighted, and I can't wait for him to go. I can't wait until what time's kick off tomorrow? 4
o'clock, yeah.
I can't wait until 5:45 and he's gone. To be honest.
You'll be cracking one open, won't you?
Exactly.
5:43.
That's it. 5:43. Ta-da!
You'll be opening the door for him. Bye-bye. Off you go.
It's just horrendous. I mean, as I said, the best form of defence is attack. It's not sit back and go, come on, guys, come at us. 85, 90 minutes of... I mean, listen, this is how bad it's been, guys. At the end of the FA Cup game against Wolves, We put 3 crosses into their box. Hodgson, at the end of that game, stood up in front of the media and said, absolutely delighted with the players' efforts today. The crossing numbers that we put into their box was brilliant. We put 3 crosses in and we didn't have a shot at all. How do you win a game if you don't even shoot? And 11 games this season, we've not registered a shot. That's how bad it's been. You can't. It's just hard to take. It really is. But then the polar opposite happens, and you beat Leeds 4-1, you beat United 3-1, you beat West Brom 5-1, and against Villa on Saturday, we I think 23 shots against Villa, which was like more shots than the last 4 games put together, or something stupid like that. You can't make it up. It's just really bizarre.
It's safe to say you've had a very wacky final season with Hodgson, hasn't it? But I think as Liverpool fans, we can attest to understanding that pain. We've been there, we've done that, and believe you me, our foot was on his backside on the way out of the door as well.
But have you guys not heard then what's happening at Liverpool? Klopp's going at the end of the season, and Hodgson's coming in.
Oh yeah, and
his first signing is going to be Konchesky. He's going to re-sign Konchesky. He's going to be your first choice left back.
He's going to bring Joe Allen back. He's going to re-sign Joe Allen. We're going to have the Welsh Messi.
What a player Joe Allen was.
Bob the Builder player. He was no good anywhere.
Paulson. There's a dark days.
Bad
We've got 4 years of dark days. So.
She's on the chat here. I think we've got a new person here. Good to see you, Annie. You'll never walk alone too. He's hoping for a good win tomorrow. We'll get to Chris Welch's comment in a minute. Roy Hodgson doesn't need another job for the rest of the remaining years. Sit in your armchair with a cup of tea and biscuit watching football. Seamus Moore, Konchesky, we don't read and remind you of him. That's 100% true, Seamus. So going back to Paul's comment, Jordan Sanderson just says tomorrow's a must-win game. 100% it is, Jordan. Going back to Chris Welch's, because I have a question as well. Like, who would you want to replace Roy Hodgson? Who's your bet to take over for him?
It's a difficult one because does anyone believe what the media say anymore? And I don't. I mean, it's all full of rubbish. But we have been linked with a number of managers. Sean Dyche is one of them. I 100% do not want just Sean Dyche. He's Roy Hodgson's love child, as far as I'm concerned. He's just so boring. He just has got no kind of sort of tactical ability. Nuno, I'd take all day. I think he's a fabulous manager, but I don't think the Palace would be anywhere near his radar. I think he's more likely to rock up at Spurs, to be honest. We've been linked with Lampard, and I know Lampard's insights a lot of difference in opinion out there, but for me, I think he would be the perfect manager for Palace because we play a better style of football under him. That's a given. The youth, we've got an Academy 1 set up, which is the best rating that you can get for the youth. And the under-18s finish runners-up in the league. The under-23s are in the final, playoff final. So there's a lot of gold in there, but it's been significantly ignored by Hodgson because he's got an agenda against youth. So I think Lampard would be the perfect appointment because he would nurture that youth. And look what he did at Derby. Yes, he pulled on Chelsea's strings a little bit, and he got a few players in, but that doesn't matter because those players weren't ever going to get a chance at Chelsea. The only reason why they have done so well is because he went back in at Chelsea in the end. But I think Chelsea was too big a job for him. I think Palace is the perfect size job to develop himself, to get that brand correct, get a bit of time behind him as well to develop his sort of abilities and understand the league a little bit more. And for us, we need to bring youngsters through. We've got 15 players out of contract. So Lampard would be great. There's other people that have been mentioned: Fonseca, Swansea's Cooper, Brentford's Frank. Even Steven Gerrard has been mentioned, but I don't think he would be anywhere near our radar or would want to come to us, given what he's done at Rangers. I don't know, it's a difficult one. And then you've got Eddie Howe, and it's that to and fro in between. Is he going to go to Celtic? And they're all saying now that he's going to come to us instead. So I don't know. I'm one of those people that with the media, it's all a load of rubbish. And when it becomes a fact, whoever it is, we'll get behind them and we'll see what happens. Whatever way you look at it, next season will be pivotal because for me, it'll be like coming up to the Premier League again, that first season. You know, what you don't want is to destroy the last 8 years. It's not been great at times, and the football's not been that great, but we've had some talented players in that time as well, you know. So, yeah, we'll see. But I think we're going to find out in the next week or something like that, they're saying. So, we'll see.
So you've just mentioned then that you've got quite a few players out of contract. Can you personally see any of them leaving at the end of the year?
Yeah, I see a huge amount of them. I mean, you guys were laughing when we signed Sake for 30 million. And the bizarre thing is that he's actually a very good player when he's fit. Quite deceptive in the way that he plays, and you always think there's a mistake in him, but he never seems to make one. But the guy's been on 130 grand a week and probably played about 10 games since he signed. It's been a disaster. Connor Wickham is another one. 3 years. He had a 3-year contract and he probably played twice, and then we renewed it and gave him 20 grand a week more. That's how dumb we are. We've got no business acumen in terms of contracts. At least we've not portrayed that. There's probably about approaching, well, somewhere between 600 and 750 grand's worth of wages that could be released up.
Chris.
It's true. He looks like there's a mistake in him, but he just always seems to do the thing you look at, you think, bloody hell, that's going to cost us, but then he don't. But it's been a waste of time, to be fair. 130 grand a week. We've been throwing $500,000 down the drain each month, so it's not been ideal. But I mean, if you look at the people that are out of contract, guys, I'd renew Townsend. I'd renew Benteke because Benteke played right. I know you guys had him, but if he's played right on the last man, he's a dangerous player, and he proves that. If he's asked to drop deep like Hodgson's been trying to do, you negate that threat. It's a waste of time. So I'd renew him. James MacArthur, maybe give Gary Cahill another year, and Joel Ward, but the rest of them I would just bin and just release all that wage budget and promote probably somewhere between 2 and 4 youngsters that have been on the periphery of the first team. But we're never ever going to get a chance under Hodgson. Couple free transfers and a couple of marquee signings. I think that's pretty much how our summer needs to go.
Yeah, I think like you said before, Lampard would be the ideal replacement, and I do agree with that. I definitely think that Lampard, he bit off more than he could chew going to Chelsea. He basically went back to his dream team, was a legend as a player, got unlimited budget and couldn't really do much with it when it came to it. But when he had the youth, he was really good at bringing the youth into the game properly. And I think, like you said yourself there, you want to get rid of those wage players. You were just sitting there for the money, banking it in. Promote your youngsters is probably the best bet for you right now, especially with losing Hodgson.
Yeah, but the thing with that, Safe, is that you only have to look at Liverpool with that. You've had Palace and Liverpool have had horrific injury lists this season. But the one thing that Klopp's done, which has been and could be, it might not turn out to be, it depends, but it could turn out to be like a bit of a masterstroke because he's promoted players with him because he simply had no choice. Whereas Hodgson will just play people that are injured rather than play the youngsters. You know, Nat Phillips, he's got his critiques. He's got people, you know, that sort of slate him. He's got people that love him, but I think he's a fantastic defender. I think Reece Williams, I think he's a quality young defender as well. And you had no choice. You know, VVD gave you no choice but to do it, and you've had to adapt.
I think you've got to put stock in your youngsters as well, because, you know, as you just said, both of our teams have gone through an injury crisis this year. We never foresaw losing all of our centre backs, you know, in one season. We never ever thought we'd do that. And then we had no choice but to rely on our youngsters, and they've actually been the ones who've been able to, you know, Nat Phillips and Reece Williams have arguably played the best centre-back football for us so far. And they are babies. They are babies to the game. You know, Nat Phillips was, you know, he was loaned out and he was ready to go, you know, down to championship type level anywhere like that. And
for me, with that though, so if I was going to say is, what's the point in having youngsters if you're not going to give them a chance? You might as well just say, look, play the under 23s for 4 years, and then we're going to let you go, and just be transparent. Because what a waste of time all that development is, you know. And what Klopp's done is, you know, he's a fantastic manager anyway, but he's just said, go on then, show me what you got.
But I think had Klopp had the option not to do that, I don't think he actually would have. I don't think he'd have ever put Reece Williams in our team had he not been forced to. I think
of course not.
There's having support for your youngsters and being able to, like, bring them into the senior team. But you've got to understand as well that when you've got your youngsters, even though you bring them up in the academy, you know straight away really whether they're ever going to make it into your senior squad, or whether you're going to just try and progress them as much as you can to get them into the best squad for their level. But you see their career development out. But I think had it not been for our injuries, I don't think Reece Williams would have got near our senior team. I think he'd have been loaned out and then he'd have been sold to a mid-table team or a championship team. But I'm happy that he's proved, you know, his worth, and he's going to get a better place after this, definitely. I don't think we'll keep him. I think we'll move him on. But
that's the thing with us. I mean, there's no way in my mind, in my opinion, that Wan-Bissaka would have ever materialised as a player if we didn't have the injury crisis that we had at that time. Yeah. And that crisis was horrific. I think we had 3 or 4 more injuries than the next worst team. So we literally had no choice but to say, go on, and you're gonna have to come in. And I'm not saying that it's a guarantee that there's going to be quality every time you call someone up from the youth set up, but £50 million later is testament to that. We had another crisis where we, at the beginning of this season, pulled up Tyrick Mitchell, and he looks a class act as well. So it just really frustrates me because, I mean, there's a kiddie, I can't pronounce his name, Olin Begley or something like that. He scored, I think it's 15 goals in the under-18s. He stepped up to the under-23s and he scored 3 or 4 goals. And he's got like about 10 assists across the two platforms. Well, for me, if a player's in that much of decent form and we're at the time struggling to get goals, bring him in, play him in with Benteke. If you don't trust Batshuayi and you don't trust Mateta that we've got on loan, just give the kid half an hour. Go on then, show us what you got. If he comes in and he does nothing, you put your arm around him and you say, look, mate, giving you half an hour. It's not quite right for you at the moment. Get your head down, crack on, and we'll have another look later on. Rather than just completely ignoring him, because it just renders that academy aspect useless, in my opinion.
No,
and that's been the biggest frustration. And it happened last season. 9 games to go, Hodgson said, I'm going to play the youngsters. Kai got 8 minutes and he made a joke of it, saying he should give me a bottle of red wine for the 8 minutes. No one else got a chance.
It's demoralising, isn't it?
It's just poor. And then this season, he said exactly the same with 8 games left. Youth will get a chance. All they've done is just sat on the bench. Just a waste of time. It drives me insane.
Just don't make those shouts and don't say, oh, you're going to give the youth time. If you've got no intention of ever doing it, don't give them false hope. And that's probably my biggest bugbear. It's Absolutely. All well and good bringing them on the bench. If you just say to them, right, I'm putting you on the bench this game, that for them is probably enough at that point, with the hope that one day they'll be called on to play, a couple of minutes. But to put them on for 8 minutes and then turn around and say, "Oh, he owes me a bottle of wine for that," that's just rude. That's tactless.
It's just odd. He got absolutely slated for doing it as well.
I would not. Imagine saying that.
Yeah. But that's the Hodgson effect.
Oh, we are well aware of the Hodgson effect, right? Go on then.
So everyone else in the chat, there's quite a lot of you in there. Hit that like and subscribe button. At least get us to, having at least over 10 likes. Just go in the chat. Jordan Santos, I think he was talking about you should go for Arteta, but I can't see Arteta in leaving Arsenal.
No, there's no way on earth I'd want Arteta near us. I think Arteta is a fantastic number 2, and what he's done at Manchester City proved that. I think that step up has been a bit Lampard-esque. It's a bit too much out of his depth. He might well grow into it. He might be given the time to do that, but given the position that they're in and how ruthless Kroenke is, I can't see him staying there. But I don't think I'd want him at our place.
Chris Wells says, would you take Benitez?
It's difficult because he's a quality manager. There's no two ways about it. And plays a great way of football, but he's getting close to that 70-year-old mark, and I just think to myself, if you're going to give him a contract, he's going to want 3 or 4 years, and do we then start going down the same slope where it slides a bit? I don't know. If he's still as good as he was at Newcastle, probably yes. I wouldn't be unhappy if it was announced that it was him, but I still want someone younger.
Going through the comments here. Seamus says Big Sam is available, but I think he's just taking the piss.
Big Sam can foxtrot Oscar. Don't want that fat arsehole anywhere near our club. No thanks.
You'd rather go with that one, wouldn't you? You'd rather have no manager than him.
There's no way on earth I'd want him anywhere near. He's got a great record making people safe, but he's failed at West Brom. But everyone's going to fail at West Brom, to be fair. And it just shows how shallow the man is. To turn around and say, I'm not going to stay on next season, shows the mark of him. He only wants to be in the big league. That's all he wants to. And it's all about keeping that team up and getting that big bonus. Not for me.
Yeah. Well, I think we saw that, didn't we? Because it was in our West Brom pre-match. The guest we had on was like, "Oh, I think he'll go with us. Like, I think he'll stay with us." And then literally, I think it was like the next day or so, and he announced that, like, I'm not going down with them. And I just think that's another tactless manager, isn't he? He just doesn't care. He's all about it for himself.
It's just a poor show. All he wants is to do what he's just done and keep a team up, get that big bonus, because that's what he negotiates. Give me £2 million if I keep you up. No, not for me. It's a short-term fix with no long-term gain.
He's an arsehole. And I just don't like the fact that he sits outside the technical area and shouts his orders to his number 2, who then shouts the orders to the team. It's like, what are you actually doing? What are you actually doing as a manager? Because from where I'm sitting, you ain't doing fuck all apart from sitting on your fat ass. I can't stand that, man. But that's another conversation entirely.
He's an expert on gravy, though, if you ever want any tips, Safe.
Reading some of the comments here. Obviously, Jordan's saying Alisson's player of the season for us. Read 1892 podcast. Good to see you, boys. Saying that Fabinho's player of the season. Chris Welsh, Reece Williams might have to be sold, unfortunately, when our centre backs are back, including signing of Konate. Yeah, I think Reece Williams would go. 1892, of course, Big Nat should be Salah also, but throughout, Fabinho's been superb, versatile, professional, and such an excellent player for us. 1892 podcast also saying that centre-back pairing next season should be VVD, Gomez, Konate, Matip, Felix with a 5 next season. That he's sure Williams will go on loan. Chris Welsh, our loan Williams out, but in a few years' time, Wish will be behind the few centre-backs. 1892 again. Roy Hodgson is a good manager, does well with young players. Liverpool job was so high for him, especially with the owners taking out that huge loan and hit recession. He had no chance. 1892 as well. Arteta's good putting cones out for Pep. He also thinks Rafa will be superb for Palace. Moving, Seamus says Big Sam will struggle to get a job now that Premier League relegation on the CV. Stephen, good to see you, mate. Says Roy Hodgson will want to go on a high, so Palace will give us a game, I think, tomorrow. Could be. 1892 Red Podcast, 2-0 Sophie. That's what Ferguson done, as hard as that sounds. Yes, I think. Yeah, so going back to the game, obviously, Ezzy's out of this game. He's been like revelation for you, and he potentially would have had a good partnership tomorrow with Zaha. Because obviously, when we played you at Selhurst Park, them two caused a lot of problems for us with their direct play and their pace. So, how much of that is that a blow for you tomorrow that he's not going to be fit for the game?
Yeah, of course it's a blow. I mean, he's been an absolute revelation. He's been an absolute find. I mean, quite a lot of teams were in for him, but he chose us. I don't know why he chose us. Maybe Hodgson offered him nudes or something silly like that, but I'm not sure. But, all joking aside, we're blessed to have him. We're blessed to have Zaha. I mean, unbelievable talents, the pair of them. And as first few games, he sort of struggled to find his feet a little bit, but since then he's been unreal. And the injury's a real harsh injury. Hudson-Odoi and Loftus-Cheek have had that injury, but they both come back, and he's a lot younger than Loftus-Cheek. So I think we'll see him probably early start of 2022 or come back, and that will help us massively. But on the flip side, what it does do is it pushes the hierarchy at Palace to say, look, you're going to need to find a replacement, especially with everyone else out of contract. And there'll be a few renewals, but we need to find someone with quality to match Eze. But he's been a game changer, and he's been a constant threat in every game he's played. The 7-0 scoreline against you was a very harsh scoreline, because we could have taken the lead. We could have even doubled it before you decided to go on an unbelievable, every time you hit a shot it went in job. But yeah, I think it'll make a difference tomorrow. Pardon?
We sent some voodoo out that day.
Yeah, I think it was something like that.
All on that one game.
Yeah, so I think we'll give you a tough game tomorrow. I think that's almost a certainty, especially with Hodgson's last game. They'll want to sort of do something for him, given how crap we were in the week. And I think you'll find it tough for long periods. But I think the fact that you've got too many game changers in there will probably give you the upper hand.
Yeah. So what's your lineup for tomorrow for yours then?
Well, it's going to be Gator in goal. It's going to be Mitchell, left back, probably Cahill, centre back with Tompkins. Right back will be Ward. He'll probably go with one DM, possibly two DM. I hope he doesn't. But he'll probably go with Luca's not been there the last couple of games, but he'll probably come back. I don't know why he's not been there. So he'll probably start, unfortunately. Wilf will be on the left, on the right will be Townsend, and then it's difficult. I'm not sure who will put there. He might go up with two up front. I'm not sure. Benteke will hopefully start. Maybe he might play Schlupp. I'd probably put Schlupp in there.
Sure, you'd start him, obviously, with the fact that we might have, I'm not sure Cabot's going to be fit. We might have Williams and Phillips again. Will you not put Benteke and Williams to just try to bulldoze him?
Yeah, he probably will play Benteke, and he'll probably play Schlupp just behind.
So how's your overall approach going to be for this game? Are you going to be going there to try and take the game to us? Are you going to go there and just like
we don't take the game to anyone?
I mean, are you going to try and counter attack on us with Zaha's pace, or are you just going to try and stay in the game and then hopefully that you can get a cross in, or Zaha can pull a bit of magic and get a goal?
it's going to be exactly that. It's going to be try and contain you. It's going to be long periods of defending with the odd counter attack and hope that we've got a very high success rate being clinical, which isn't something again that Palace are. I don't know. I mean, in my mind, I'm hoping that we shithouse a 1-0 win, but it's probably going to be like 3-0 loss or something ridiculous like that. So, especially if we set up just to sit back and go, come on, come at us and we'll contain you. You can't do that. You can't do that against any side in this league. And this year, it's been really bizarre. People have been beating people that you wouldn't even think would happen. Last season we beat a lot of teams around us. This year, we seem to go away and play, against United and beat them and get results like that, which is the polar opposite to what we were getting last year, where we were beating Burnley and Newcastle and stuff. It's just really odd.
Yeah. I think this season's been nothing but bizarre, has it? Like, I don't think any team can say their season has been any form of normal at all. Everyone's kind of had their own issues to deal with this season and had their own share of freak results. I mean, look at City after being crowned champions, went and lost. And
to the scum.
Yeah, and you just sat there going, how? How did that happen? Like, there are games that you've gone in, and you'll probably experience this yourself as well. There's games that you've walked into going, we're going to walk this, and then you've come out with like a 3-0, 4-0 defeat, and you sat there going, what? How? And then
it's games like, for us, it's games against Villa.
Yeah.
Tyrone Mings gets sent off after 20 odd minutes, and then we don't register a shot and we lose 3-0. I mean,
that's like us with the United game just on the other side of the spectrum. We went into that game and I was fully expecting us kind of to either shit house a 1-0, a 1-1 draw, or lose, and we ended up beating them 4-3, and it was an incredible game. But previously, before that, we struggled, and none of this season has been normal by any stretch of the imagination, has it?
Well, it's been unprecedented, isn't it? COVID, no fans, injuries, people just picking stuff up that they shouldn't have done, and and not just like the odd injury, just like big list of injuries. I think at one stage we had like 13 people injured or something stupid like that, and you were second with 11. But I know someone said earlier when you went off to just do a little errand with the dog, and Wahomey was speaking. I've got to say, I've got to question this person's opinion. That Matip coming back is going to strengthen it. Matip is made of glass. Matip needs to be moved on. He's a horrific defender. He makes so many mistakes. He's just move him on. Get rid. If a player's not sort of got that fitness record and it's just constant. I mean, the guy needs to warm up when he gets injured. It just puts you under pressure. It's just there's no point having players like that in your squad.
Yeah.
And we've got that. We've got that with Connor Wickham. We're paying the guy $80,000 a week. He's played 6 games in 6 years. It's just get rid.
He was a new Alan Shearer, wasn't he?
Huh?
He was a new Alan Shearer at the time.
At the time, he looked like he could do something. He looked like he would be a class act. But unfortunately, some players are just constantly getting injured, whether it's the way they train, whether if they put too much. I mean, look at Jack Wilshere. I mean, someone did a study on him. He was just putting himself too much into challenges in training and constantly getting injured, and it's ruined his career. It's just no point squandering money on players like that and wage budget, in my opinion. I'm not a Liverpool fan, but me personally, if I was a Liverpool fan, I'd be crying out for him to be released.
See, my issue with Matip is he is made of glass. He is. But when he's fit, and I always say this about Naby Keita, and they go, when Naby's fit, and I go, yeah, but Naby's never fit. Matip is fit for a period of time, and then he's out, and then he's fit, and then he's out. He's back longer than Naby Keita is. I think what Matip has proven, his ability-wise, is worthy enough. He is a very good defender, and until we went through our massive injury crisis, we were relying on Matip really well, and he was doing great for us in that centre back with Fabinho. He was really holding the line for us, and he stepped up when Joe Gomez got injured the previous season and was out with his leg break. He was right in there, and our centre back partnership with him and Virgil was brilliant. We saw what Matip was made of. He's got the quality there. It's just upsetting that he is made of glass. And if we sold Matip, I wouldn't be devastated for it, because he's not always available to us, and that's the issue. We need a player in centre back who's always going to be available. Well, not always, but majority of the time is going to be there. So if he moves on, I won't be devastated, but I'll be upset to see him go, because I know the quality of player he is. But equally, if we kept him, I'd also be quite happy, because I think if we keep him, he's not going to be starting first and second choice centre back. So if we sign Konate, you're going to have Virgil, Gomez, and Konate. Then it would be Matip. Then Nat Phillips, if Nat Phillips stays. Matip's got less chance of being injured, because he's not going to be playing as many games. He's not going to be relied on as third choice centre back the way he is now. And God forbid, touch wood, we ever went through an injury crisis like this again, we'd have two people in front of him. Type of situation where he wouldn't be at much of a risk for these injuries. And in that sense, I don't really want to sell him, because we've seen this season, he's just come to get the dog. You've seen this season how not having centre-backs who are capable to play games has really negatively impacted Liverpool. And there he goes with the dog. Sorry, the dog's been scratching in the kitchen for dinner. You can smell the food. But I don't want to see Matip go. On a personal level, I don't want to see him go. I think he's a good backup option to have, because if he's not going to be playing he's not supposed to play 90 minutes week in, week out. He might play 30 minutes, he might play 40 minutes. It gives our top two or possibly top three defenders a chance to have a little bit of a break themselves, where he might be made of a little bit more than glass. That's my opinion. But I'm sure there are a lot of Liverpool fans out there who disagree with me on Matip and say we need to sell him, we need to get rid of him. But
personally, VVD comes back, I'd play him with Phillips. Think about this, yeah? This is a real off-piste opinion, but think about this, right? The ability that VVD has got to make a player look better than they are. Look at what he's done with Matip, okay? When he's played.
Yeah.
He could pass that on and pull forward those inches out of Phillips and make him an even better player. And he's still 23. He's still got a lot of time ahead of him. Think about that one.
I see where you're coming from, and I do think that Virgil would up the quality of anyone who plays next to him. I mean, I could play next to him and I could look like a good defender. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. I can't kick a ball in a straight line. But I don't ever see Nat Phillips getting in over Gomez. Gomez is a very good defender, and if we do sign Konate, yes, I love Nat Phillips, and I think he is such a good no-nonsense type player. I think next to Virgil, that would be a very strong partnership. I just can't see him suddenly pipping to the top of the pecking order.
Do you want me to give you another curveball, guys?
Go on, then. We love a curveball.
So the first thing I would do is I would take away Trent away from right back. He's absolutely horrific coming back. He puts you under so much pressure. But on an off-piste point of view, when he's going forward, he puts the opposing team under an equal amount of pressure, because his passing ability, his crossing ability, and how he can see that pass for your front players is unreal. I would have him in midfield all day long, and I'll put Gomez at right back.
Steve, I'm going to stop you there, because Trent this season has been he's got the most tackles, most high success rate, most blocks, most interceptions of any right back in the Premiership. No one's come close to Trent. And he's also been the best, he's also the most creative player. Probably only Fernandes has created more chances than him. So I don't understand how you say that he's liability defensively when he's outperformed Wan-Bissaka, Walker, any other right back in the Premiership. No one's come close to him defensively. So I don't see, and this is Liverpool in its time when they probably had, it's probably the worst time under injuries or with COVID, and no one's performed him at level. The fact that he's not even going to England, and I'm not even going to get into that fully, is a joke because he's been any other right back.
He won't get into England because Southgate is in the same mould as Hodgson. He's a football terrorist. Yeah. But my point about Trent, yes, he's got those stats, but you guys have been the polar opposite defensively to last season to this season. So naturally, he'll have more statistics that show that he's in that position. But I just think when he's going forward and he makes that pass, he makes that cross. There's no other player in the league at the moment like him, and the danger that he causes with those crosses, that you can see it. The amount of goals that you've scored on the back end of a Trent cross. It's testament, it's proof there. I know you guys are Liverpool fans. I'm not a Liverpool fan, but me personally, I'd have him in midfield all day long. I think his positivity in the way he drives forward with the ball, I think that would be perfect in there. But that's just my opinion.
Best right back in the world.
I'm not going to say that eventually I don't see Trent moving into midfield. I think eventually, yes. But no.
What are you guys going to do when Henderson goes, when Fabinho goes? Fabinho's 30 now, Henderson's 31. So at some stage, you're going to have to put someone in there, aren't you?
No, I understand that. Yes, we understand that we've got aging players in our midfield, but they've got another 2 years before that becomes a concern. And who's to say that Michael Edwards and Klopp aren't already scouting possible replacements? Then we've got Curtis Jones coming up. We've got Harvey Elliott. He's someone that we really, really want. We've got Bobby, who's going to be dropping back probably into a 10 role. Who's to say that Klopp and Michael Edwards aren't already looking for possible Fabinho replacements and somebody else? You don't know what they're doing behind the scenes, but to say that you're going to move the best right back, as Wahomey's just pulled out the stats for, you want to move him out of position when there is no viable candidate to replace him. You talk about replacing Fabinho. You talk about replacing Henderson. They're easier to replace in positional game than Trent. We can go and find a defensive mid. Okay, maybe they won't be as amazing as Fabinho is, but given time, they probably could be. But find me someone, pick me one right back who does what Trent does, as good as Trent does it. Because as we've just proven, Wan-Bissaka, all those other ones who apparently come outside Trent, they don't hold a candle to him. So I understand where your opinion's coming from, and I do think eventually, yes, he needs to be moved into midfield, but only when a viable candidate to replace him becomes available, because Nico Williams isn't ready to take the place. Why would you take somebody out there? And you've also got to think is Trent has had so many different people playing not only in a centre-back partnership, but on the right-hand side in midfield with him. He's had so many people on that right-hand side, whereas normally he's got Henderson and he's got Matip or Gomez on his side and Fabinho. So when he pushes up, they slot in behind him. That's the way our line works. Our full-backs bomb it up and we spread out wide. When we were at our fittest, Virgil and Gomez would often be left on their own at the back. They'd move out, and just the two of them would control that back line with Alisson. Fabinho would slot a little bit further back, and the boys would bomb it up. But Trent hasn't been able to do that effectively this season until as of recent, because he's become comfortable and he's gelled with Thiago and he's gelled with Reece Williams and that he's able now comfortable more to do that. And since he's done that, we've seen a massive improvement in his game again. But last season, not one person would have been saying Trent needs to move into midfield because of the numbers and the crosses. He was assisting goals. He was scoring goals from an assist from Andy Robbo. He plays a remarkable game in right back. And yes, I understand we have got an age in midfield. Yes, things need to change, but that's not here and now. And I'm sorry, but when you've got a player who is 21 years of age, who is the best right back in English football, arguably in world football, you're trying to tell me that at 21, when he's just not even hitting his peak yet, you want to move him? That's like saying you want to take Haaland out to striker and put him as a cam because he's good tactically on the ball. It makes no sense. Maybe in a couple of years when it becomes a viable option, yeah. But for right now, you're talking shite.
It's just a curveball, guys. It's just what I think.
Shite.
It's just what I think.
That's why you're a Palace fan, innit?
Going back to the chat here, Chris Wells says Ben Davis to be spotted tomorrow. Yeah, he'll be there because it's the end of the season. He's basically been invisible. Seamus says, Chris, if you can find him, let us know. Because he's going to the game tomorrow. I'll take a selfie with Simicus and Davis at the local Liverpool pub. I love you, Chris. Dave's good to see you, Dave. Matt Tip. Dan Bailey says Matt's injury playing, but his ability isn't in question. That's true. He walks into any team if fitness was an issue. I agree with that. Chris Wells said Jared Hayter's Navigator should be the Premier League Hall of Fame because he's won a Premier League title. Seamus Moore. Matt is a good player, just injuries are annoying. We're going for free. We should cash in and take the money. I probably would agree with that. Dave says Matt is a very underrated defender. Agree with Dave there. Dan Bailey says, Dan Bailey says,
your fan base has got so much hatred towards certain players. I don't get it. It's like Keita. I mean, it's horrific how much grief goes towards him. I don't understand it. I think he's a decent player.
He's a decent player, but he's always injured, and that's why people get frustrated. Because when we signed him from Leipzig, we all had this major vision that we've got the next Iniesta or the next Steven Gerrard. And then he's also got the Steven Gerrard number 8 shirt. And we all thought, we waited Kate for a year. He's going to come and like revolutionize football. And he's come in, he's been injured, start, injured, start. Of course, he's got good stats, but he's injured all the time. That's what's just a frustration because it's his fourth season now. And we've not had a full half season with Navigator. So I think a lot of people, the fact that he's injured again now, and he's not going to play again for the rest of the season, just frustrating people. That's why it's polarizing.
That Naby Keita got injured without even being in training. That's the frustration.
Do you think with your training methods, because it seems like there's always constant injuries coming out of your training, like, do you think your training methods need looking at? Because to me, it seems like there's something falling down because you're constantly getting people injured. I know you just mentioned about Keita not in training, but as a rule, it just seems to be like, oh, such and such has picked up an injury now, and such now got an injury. It's just like, are they trying to push them too much, perhaps?
I don't think they are, because I think the way our training's always been is the way it still is now. It's always been a very high intensity training. That's the way Klopp always plays. That's the way our boys are trained and have been ever since he signed and became our manager. Nothing's changed there. For me, what's changed is the medical staff. And since we changed our head of physio and rehab, our players have been rushed back. So okay. They've been given a 3-month recovery period. On that day of the 3 months, they've been declared fit and have gone back into training and have re-injured themselves. Instead of giving them 3 months and then we'll evaluate you at the end of your recovery period. At the end of those 3 months, they should be evaluating them and saying, well, actually, you still need a little bit more time, or you need 2 more weeks on just ball work. You need, oh, yes, okay, you're fully fit now. Everything's fine. You can go back into training. They're throwing them back into a high-intensity training so they're going from nothing to 100%.
Do you think there's a bit of kind of the players need to be held to task a bit there because they're trying to dupe them into believing they're fully fit? Do you think there's a bit of that as well?
I think every player, regardless, every player will always be like that because every player wants to play. They feel fine. And my leg's fine. It's not sore. It's not hurting. I'm great. I can do my weights. I can do my running. I can cut on the ball. And they want to believe that they're fit and that they want to believe that everything's okay. Again, I think every football player in the world would be the same mentality. They want to get back on the pitch. That's what they do. It's what they love. So if for me, if I was one of those lads and I was one of those football players and I've got my head and medical staff saying, well, yeah, you're fit to go back. How do you feel? I'd be going, yeah, all right, I'm going back. Like, I wouldn't be going, oh, you know what, actually, can I just leave it another week or 2 because just in case. They don't care about just in case. They want to go back, but it's not up to the players. That decision is taken out of their hands by the medical staff, and it should be, this is the policy, this is the plan we're going on. At the end of the plan, we'll evaluate you and then see what needs to happen there. And I think Virgil van Dijk is a perfect example of how that has been implemented now, because he's come back. He's near the end of his physio, at the end of his program. He could have been back for the Euros, but him and medical staff have said, well, actually, yes, technically you're at that point where you could, but we're going to take a bit longer time just to make sure and ensure that you don't re-injure. And I think that's what needs to be done because of our high intensity in training. But again, I'm not in the club. That's just my thoughts on the whole situation, to be honest. But
yeah, just read some of the chats here. Dan Bailey, I think he's talking about Trent. He's passing across it is the reason why he plays fullback. Alan Holloway's obviously where's the shush button? I think that's relating to your comments about Trent, Steve.
I was going to, I thought I'd let him finish.
Dan Bailey says, in midfield, he retrieved balls with his back to goal or sideways, takes away his biggest threats. Chris Wells playing with his stats. Dan Bailey says, because he's facing play, he's an midfielder. I don't see him ever going to midfield personally, but just me. Chris Welsh, England 12-year-old manager called Southgate rather pick Trippier. He breaks betting rules. Best since thinks slice bed apparently because he scored a free kick. EP did a high career. He's a comedy joke. Everything about you. I think you're the first time in here. Good to see you, mate. You guys should change your timing live stream this week. I think I'm here maybe an hour early. We fluctuate the time, so we'll see what we can do there. Dan Bailey says Kate hasn't worked out. Time to move him on. Agree there. Druval Sanzwell, hope I'm pronouncing it right, says, guys, you should please change your timing maybe an hour early. It's going to be 4 a.m. here. Okay, we will think about it. We'll see that. Chris Wells says, Navigator wears number 8 jersey. That means 8th floor in Liverpool Hospital. Drew says, Melwood's cursed and our medical team is high as fuck. Yep. Yes, Chris, everyone else as well, make sure you smash that like button. If you haven't subscribed, do subscribe. We appreciate you joining us. But going back to Crystal Palace, Steve, like who would you say has been your player of the season?
A lot of people will say Zaha, and considering the fact that he was missing for quite a large number of games as well, because he's been injured, so that's not been great. And Palace without Zaha is just, you might as well just not even bother walking out on the pitch. To be fair, that's pretty much how it works.
Just pack your bags and go home.
Exactly. I think we won one match recently without him, and everyone was like, "Oh, we broke the voodoo," but nah, it's not really. He's a massive game changer. He improves any side if he goes to him, and I think this season in the window, I think we could finally see him go. Depends if we get the right bid, but he's not my player of the season. For me, the player of the season is Gaeta in goal. The amount of saves he's done, and some of the saves he's done have just been unbelievable. Like, you look at it and you think, how the hell has he saved that? He's kept us in a lot of games, and there's been games that we've lost convincingly that we could have lost significantly more convincingly. I mean, even the reverse game against you guys, where you pummeled us, that could have been like double figures if it weren't for him. So for me, he's the player of the season. He's been a phenomenal signing and a fantastic player.
Moving on to Liverpool. Liverpool come to this game on the back of 3 great away wins. How are you feeling about this Crystal Palace game, Sophie?
I just want to batter them. I just want to batter you. Do you know what? This could be famous last words. It really, really could be. But I'm not worried about tomorrow at all. Like, I'm not. Like, I never fear Crystal Palace. You just aren't a team that whenever we play that I'm scared of. Like, you're not like the bogey team that we play against. It's not like when we play Wolves and I kind of go, oh no. Like, or when we play Leeds, because Leeds have got a very similar style of play to us, and you're not really a team that I personally that I worry about. Like, I don't really. I really. There's no other way to describe it. I don't worry about you. And I just think with everything that's gone on our last few games, the wins we've had, the way we've had the wins, the manner in which we've clawed into top 4 again, fans are back tomorrow. I feel excited because I'm gonna I'm going to see Anfield the way it should be, or relatively should be again. And I just know the boys are going to absolutely love that because we are performers. And I know that when those 11 come out tomorrow and hear the roar, because it's going to sound deafening regardless. I don't care. You're putting, 10,000 angry Liverpool fans in the stand with no away fans whatsoever. I'm looking forward to it, to be honest. Like, Steve can't wait for it to be, 5:45, and I'm like, I can't wait for the 90 minutes.
Yeah. I think
there's some strength in your argument, Saif. I think there's definitely some strength in your argument given the last two results against us. Prior to that, for some weird reason, as Wahome mentioned before we went on air, we have found a way to be a bit of a bogey side. I don't know why. We just seem to step up our game. We just seem to find a different gear. Last two games, of course, we haven't. You beat us convincingly in the last game, and the scoreline was only 2-1 the previous game, but it was still a convincing win, to be fair.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not saying you're a fun side to play by any stretch of the imagination. It's just
we're definitely not fun.
They're definitely not fun. There are other teams that when I see the fixture list, I kind of go, oh. There are the teams that you hate to play. There are the teams that you know is going to make it a difficult game. And I'm not saying Palace is an easy game. I'm just saying that it's not one that stands out as a worry thing for me. And I just think, final game of the season, we've got nothing to lose, really, have we? Like, just go at it.
I think I agree.
Every ball we touch needs to go in the net tomorrow, and just to piss you off.
I think I agree with Chris here. I said if this away with full capacity, I'd fear going to Palace. Palace ultra fans never stop singing, and I think going with you, Steve. I think we've been good at Selhurst Park. We have a good record there, but at Anfield, you've gotten quite a few draws in the past against us. Because normally away at Selhurst Park, we normally do quite well against you. So,
but also two seasons ago when we played you and you beat us 4-3, there's no way you should have beaten us 4-3 because if it hadn't been for Speroni for randomly picking the ball up and throwing it in his net, I think we would have won that game. And I was there. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was an amazing day, even though we lost. I thought it was an amazing day. So we've definitely got the ability to give you a few problems. Whether we do or not is another matter. If we sit back and try and contain you, then we play into your hands. And I think it'll be a routine win. If we, for some weird reason, whether Hodgson has a bit of a defect overnight and decides to attack, then I think it could be a lot tougher for you. But I do expect a routine loss, to be fair. And I haven't got a problem with admitting that.
Yeah, so I think obviously because I think 10,000 fans. Good ask you, Sophie. I think 10,000 fans. We saw the last time Liverpool had fans when we played Spurs, and we played some of our best football against Spurs, and we won that. And we have a lot of players in our team that are we would say are entertainers. Bobby, Mane, Thiago. And I think playing in front of the fans brings out the best in them in a way, because they feed off the crowd's energy, the crowd's songs about them. So, how big is having, even it's not full capacity, even 10,000 fans for us tomorrow?
Huge. You've just said then, we saw the difference in quality of play when we played Spurs when fans were allowed in last time, and that was only 2,000 fans. That was 2,000. We are, we're times on that by 5.
Well, we had 6,500 against Arsenal, and the atmosphere was unbelievable. The atmosphere with a full house at the Selhurst Park is unbelievable. But to generate the amount of noise that we did on Wednesday night with 6,500 people was absolutely fantastic. So, Anfield will probably produce a very good atmosphere, but you've got 4.5 times the amount of that capacity. So 10,000 fans will make a big difference compared to the 2 that you originally had in the first game that fans were allowed. So I suspect that will assist you. as well.
Yeah, definitely. And like I was just saying, then it is a massive thing having those 10,000 fans back. It is going to stand out, especially when you've got Anfield that is used to being deafening, and you've had an empty stadium, and we've got players, Thiago, Nat Phillips, Reece Williams, Ozan Kabak, who've never heard the Liverpool fans chanting for them. Like, Thiago hasn't heard his song. Like, he's never heard us singing that. And you just know for a fact tomorrow that song is going to get chanted. So is Mo Salah down the wing. So is Si Senor. You just know that our songs have got power behind them. And the lads are they're going to be dying to hear them. And I just don't think you can ever sit there and say, oh, well, it's still not full capacity. No, it's not full capacity. But it's better than none.
Oh, yeah, of course. Quick question, guys. How many times is Thiago going to put his thumb up tomorrow? That's all you ever see him do. Sorry,
Yeah, go ahead, Zay.
I just can't see it not being an amazing atmosphere tomorrow. And like I've said it so many times, but you're putting 10,000 angry, passionate Scout. Well, some might not be Scousers. Majority will be Scousers.
Why are you angry? What's to be angry about?
Just I say angry, but like as Scousers, we get called angry and we're just dead loud and passionate. But it's just going to be like that fire. It's easier to just say angry than try and explain like the passion and everything. To be honest, it's easier to just say you're angry. And you're going to be putting them in there after a season that we've had, clawing top 4, possibly could potentially get top 3. And you're going to tell me that that's not going to have a massive impact. Like, I'm sorry, I'd bet my house on that having a massive impact. I mean, I'm not going to take the bet because I like having a roof over my head, but...
What are you guys going to do if you lose and don't make top 4, sorry? I'm not saying it will happen, but you guys, I get your confidence. I understand that. And given the fact you're playing us, I get why you probably believe you're going to get that result. But I'm not trying to be negative here, but what if that does happen?
Then that's it.
You believe it is?
Yeah.
Don't say that.
As passionate as I am and as confident as I am, I'm also quite realistic about the fact that it could potentially not happen either. It can go either way. We could lose or draw tomorrow, and then Chelsea and Leicester, they win their games and it's all over. That's the way football is, and you've got to take the good with the bad. And if we get top 4, I'll be buzzing. If we get top 3, it'll be a fucking miracle. And if we don't, then what can we do about it? There's no point me sitting here cry ass about it, going, why didn't we get it? We just didn't get it. It just wasn't meant to be. And if it's not meant to be, it won't be. But we'll go again next year, and that's all you can do. But I think the more you sit there and whinge about it, and it's not fair, everything's against us, VAR hates us, we've had more decisions, the more you moan like that, the more like bitter you become, and the more like Everton fans you are. So,
shots fired.
we've got 50, what is it, 55, 54, 56, something like that, trophies in world football in our trophy cabinet, and they've got a cuckoo clock. So if you want to be bitter about not getting top 4,
we've got the Zenith Data trophy in 1991. Does that count?
No. But I think if you want to be bitter and say...
That's a fantastic trophy. How can you say that?
But I'm just saying, like, if you want to be bitter and you want to sit there and whinge and sulk about things that didn't happen and play ifs and buts and hypothetical scenarios, then go and support the Everton, go and support any other team whatsoever. But I'm going to be proud of our boys for getting back into it, regardless of whether we get it or not. And it'll be a case of, right, okay, lads, wipe it off, clean slate, let's go again next year. And that's where it's got to be.
How do you guys feel about finishing behind the Manx?
I'm not asked, because even in their best season, we could end it 2 points behind them. In our worst season and their best season in a long time, we can be 2 points behind them. I'm not asked how City don't care. I'm not asked. They won the league, and I went, okay, congratulations. And what? No one cares. Manchester United. I'm not even worried about it because I just think next season, when everyone's back on form and everyone's playing football the way we know and love it, and hopefully things return to a state of normal.
Yeah, but Ollie's at the wheel.
Oh, Ollie's been at the wheel and he's driven off a fucking cliff. He's reversed it back on temporarily, put the handbrake on and gone, I'm fucking staying. But you know what's going to happen? Next season he's going to go, hey, we did well! Full throttle and go right off the motherfucking cliff again. Like, don't care. Not asked. Don't care. Next season, we'll see the maker. If next season comes and United take it to us again and United do well, then I'll start thinking, all right, fair enough, maybe that's to worry about again. But for this season, nah, not bothered. They can have second. Doesn't come with a trophy.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think I don't see us not getting top four tomorrow because I think Leicester would have to win like 5 or 6-0 tomorrow. So they're not going to do that against Spurs.
Well, stranger things have happened.
I just can't see it. Spurs would have to. I just can't see it. Otherwise, it is what it is. If we didn't get it. But I just don't see it. Tomorrow, I'm going in thinking like we're battling for third, not for top four, because I just don't think Leicester are a bottle job as well, so they're not going to do it. So that's kind of my mentality going into tomorrow.
I don't know. I think Chelsea Villa has got the capacity to be an upset in my mind.
I think Villa could beat them.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking they could beat them, and Leicester could squeeze in with you.
Yeah, I'd love because the way I see it as well is look, obviously, as Sophie said, Man United have had the best season in a long time, and we're under 5 points behind them. Chelsea, everyone hyped up Tuchel when he came in. They went on a winning run, and they could be on the verge of not finishing in the top 5, and we could be verge of finishing above them. Everyone made out as if Chelsea and Tuchel were amazing. You get in the final, Champions League final, but there's nothing we can do about that. But the fact that for us to be finishing ahead of them in the league with all the injuries and issues we've had would be an incredible achievement. So I think for me going forward, like I just want to kind of finish third just to laugh at Chelsea, to be honest. Obviously, benefit Liverpool could be great, but just also laugh at Chelsea fans because all the gas they were giving, saying that we're gonna end up in Europa League and we're all this stuff. So, yeah. But moving on to Sophie, tomorrow could be Gini Wijnaldum's last ever game for Liverpool, and obviously Gini is, for some reason, is a polarizing figure. Because some people love him, see him as a legend, and there are some people who just have an agenda against Gini where they think like he's Mr. Invisible. There's loads of games he doesn't turn up, all this stuff. And for me, obviously, Gini's leaving as a cult legend. I think he's been a fantastic player for us. He's played a crucial role, in us. I think it was in 2015-16 season or 16-17 season when he got us Champions League football with that crucial goal. And then you go back to the Champions League game against Barcelona, all the in the year before when we beat Roma, his Gini's goal, the away goal in Rome. So Gini's been like an incredible figure for us. But obviously, it's a sad thing where the club hasn't been able to agree a contract with him. Now he's moving on a free. It's going to be sad to see him go for tomorrow.
Yeah.
The last game. No matter what people think about him. And how are you feeling about that? This is the last time you can see Gini in a red shirt.
If I don't acknowledge it, it's not going to happen. Like, I love Gini. I just adore him. I adore everything about him. I think we're really going to miss him next season. And he's going to leave a hole that I think is going to be more difficult to fill than people think. But I wish him all the best. Like, he's not going to be leaving a bitter taste behind when he goes. Like, I'll be forever thankful for everything he's done for us. He's played for us for 6 years.
Should you not have given him the money that he wanted and kept him?
No, because he wanted to be the highest paid player, joining the highest paid player. He doesn't deserve that.
I think he was worth way more than he was contracted to. Personally, what I think should have happened is when he got his contract extension in, they should have upped him to about 100, 125, like that. I think if they'd upped him to 125, he'd only be asking for about 150 now, which I think would be viable for him to have 150 now after the Champions League and everything like that. I think that would be more than understandable and more than appropriate. But for him to come in and ask for, 180, 200,000 Van Dijk levels is ridiculous. He's not. I don't like to say this, and I know Ricky from the 1892 podcast is going to be absolutely loving this. He's not as important as Virgil. He's not. So he doesn't do what Virgil does, in the sense of how he impacts our game. So no, he shouldn't be offered that money, but I think he should have been offered more. I understand why the club didn't want to. I understand why Gini wants it. It's his last big contract. I've got no ill feelings about Gini going. If, he's going tomorrow, I just want to see him put on a red shirt, put on a good shift, and I'll always think fondly of him. I'll always adore him. I just wish, like as Chris said there, I just wish him all the best for his next club and the rest of the last bit of his career. But I'm going to be sad knowing that that's the last time I see Gini in a red shirt tomorrow. I am really going to be upset because I adore him. I adore everything about him. People call him Mr. Invisible, but I call him Mr. Dependable. He's always there. And we say it all the time, the best ability is availability. He's always able to play. He always puts a shift in. And you go, oh, well, he disappears. But he very rarely gets dispossessed. He's always looking, at the player side of him. His ball retention. And people go, oh, well, you can't just go on his ball retention. But what other players have we got who can do the kinds of things he does? I think people are going to miss him more than they realise. Well, I sure as fuck will anyway, because I adore him.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it is for me, like I said, it is going to be sad that he is going. But we've lost big players in the past, and we'll move on. But there will be a big kind of significant shift losing Gini because we're going to have to alter how we play in a way, or alter how the midfield functions. So it'll be interesting to see what Klopp does there. Just going in the chat. Just going back, Seamus says fans in the stands the lads will want to put in a good performance. Alan Holloway saying, he's thinking they're going to be a Salah hat-trick tomorrow. Chris Welch says 4-0 Liverpool as previous seasons. Chris Wells, I think he's talking about Mane here, being constructive criticism of Mane this season for big performances on the pitch. I hope he puts in a big performance tomorrow. I think he will, due to the fans. Seamus says 10,000 fans will make sure it sounds like a full house. I think that's true. Chris Wells obviously saying winning nothing, you win nothing for finishing second, third, and fourth. I think you get our point. True. Vintage Lambie, I don't think I've seen you in here before, so welcome. I wish I had your confidence for the result tomorrow. Scared and won't bottle it. I hope that isn't the case. Seamus says I think Villa will beat Chelsea, and I think Spurs might get a draw at Leicester. Vintage Lambie again says maybe if Arsenal and Leicester get top four, Chelsea will be more desperate to beat City in the final. I'm hoping that's the case. Chris Wells obviously thanks the memories and important goals you scored, Ginny. All the best in the next club. Chris Wells, Ronaldo is actually reliable, not only in Liverpool hospital bed. That's funny, yeah. Alan always, you don't realise how good Ginny is until he's gone. Yeah, but also a few more questions before we close up, Alan. Tomorrow could also be the last game of Kabak and Adrian. How are you feeling about those, Sophie?
Adrian can toddle off. He can fuck off a bit more. And when he gets there, he can continue fucking off to the highest level of fuck off.
He's your best keeper.
Oh, is he? Right?
You can have him.
Oh,
you can have him, Steve.
Like, don't get me wrong, Adrian did all right for us at the start, and then he started on a high, and then he just very quickly went like this, and you saw his actual true ability. The only thing I'm going to miss is the fact that he can stop a penalty. That's the only thing I'm going to miss. He's really good at stopping penalties, and that's about it. As Alan's just said, I'll drive him to the airport for free. I'll drive him to the airport. I'll pack his bags for him. I'll put them on the plane for him. I'll make him a drink on the plane. I'll shake his hand, and then I'll get off the fucking thing. Like, he can go. Not bothered. Yes, basically, Adrian can fuck off. I can't make it any clearer than that. Kabak. Originally, I'd have said I wanted to keep Kabak and I was going to miss him if we didn't keep him and everything. But I think after seeing how Nat Phillips has performed, I think I'd rather keep Nat Phillips than Kabak, to be honest with you. I think I much prefer Nat Phillips as of late. So I'm hoping that the club keep Phillips. And if they say goodbye to Kabak and they say goodbye to Kabak, he'll make a wonderful defender elsewhere. But to sum up, Adrian can fuck off. And Kabak, I'm not really that fussed on.
What are you going to do tomorrow if he names Adrian in goal?
I'd cry.
I think he's going to do it. I think it'll happen.
No, don't be stupid. No way.
not in such a pivotal game. I agree. I agree with Sophie. Adrian can piss off. Kabak. Look, I said my piece in him before. I'm not that overly bothered about Kabak, but I just feel that I would have kept him because I don't think Liverpool are going to get 2 quality centre backs in the summer. So, but I think we're not going to do Kabak now. I think he's gone, and I think it will keep Phillips instead, which is, I'm not that bothered. But I just hope that money that we're going to spend on Kabak then goes for the top striker. Put toward the top striker or midfielder.
Let's not get into transfer debates with you. I haven't got the energy for this tonight, would you?
I'm going to say one thing on transfers, guys. And it's the same for every club out there, even the top 6, right? You name a defender that's coming through, you can't. You name a striker that's coming through, you can name one. Or he's through already, Haaland. So anyone who's big is going to sign 1 of 2 players. It's either Haaland or Kane, and that's about as good as it's going to get in terms of options. Defenders-wise, you've got Ben White, which you might go in for, but I think you're probably more likely to go in for Basuma at Brighton, who's a quality player.
He's going to Arsenal.
He won't start for you if he signs for you, naturally, but he's a quality player. But there is no defenders to sign for any of them. Not even for clubs like us. There's no one sort of average to pick up. There's no one coming through, and this is why England is struggling. When you've got Maguire commanding the fee for 80 million, and I've seen a fridge freezer move quicker than he does, and all right, there's been a bit of resurgence with John Stones, but there's no one out there to buy right now.
Yeah. Well, I think some people. I think Alan Holloway thinks Felix will go. He wants first team football. Could be the case. Chris actually said Adrian won us a Super Cup and played the first 8 league games of last season. I did tweet that earlier today. So, regardless of what people think about Adrian, he did do that. So I thank him for that. Chris Wells says Arsenal could have Basuma. Thank you. But going back to the game, Sophie, just to wrap it up. Is it the same formation lineup as the Burnley game, more or less? Let's Kabak's fit.
Yeah, there's not much I'd change. There's not much we can change. So same as always. I'm not going to beat around the bush and list the starting 11 because we all know it's going to be the same 11 anyway. So
yeah, that's true. I agree with that. I think the only might change would be if Kabak is fit. If he's not, it'll be the same starting lineup as Burnley. Graz says Peter Schurz. I don't think Peter Schurz wants to leave Ajax. He signed a new contract last summer, and I don't think he's interested in leaving. That's why no one's really gone for him. The last thing I want to say: do you think Salah's going to get the Golden Boot?
Yeah.
So that again.
Salah for the Golden Boot.
Yeah.
He's joint with Harry Kane. Because the joint goals with Harry Kane.
Is he first at the moment? They're joint, aren't they? But is he classed as first?
No, he's second. Harry Kane.
He's classed as second, is he?
Yeah. I don't understand how it is, but for some reason, he's classed as second.
I think James Tompkins is going to have a masterclass and stop him from scoring.
Now you're just being daft.
Tompkins is class.
I don't think Kane
Salah does a bicycle kick, like or a scorpion kick or whatever fucking flamboyant masterclass he wants to pull out. I hope he does about 14 times against us tomorrow and every one of them fucking go in.
Fair enough.
I don't think Kane's going to score against Leicester. I think Salah will get at least one. Now push him ahead. So I do think he's going to score tomorrow. Alan Hunalways again says Salah hat trick. Chris Walsh, Kane facing Leicester. How many goals is he going to score past Leicester defence? Depends. Could be, but I'm thinking he might not score tomorrow. Alan Hunalways, these Palace fans are dreaming. I think that's obviously in terms to Steve's comment about Salah being found after the match. Okay, let's move into predictions. Well, Steve, we'll start with you. What's your prediction for the score tomorrow?
I think we're going to replicate Istanbul.
Well, good question here.
Sophie's face is, I want to punch you.
I don't want to punch you. I want you to fuck off, and then when you get there, fuck off a little bit more.
How much do you want me to fuck off? For Chris is a top guy. Chris is a top mate of mine. Do I think we can win tomorrow? Absolutely not. Do I think we can shithouse a win? It's a small possibility. Do I hope we do that? Absolutely. And if we do, I'm just going to be that little pain in the arse that's going to escalate to a huge pain in the arse. If we do lose, which I fully expect to be rinsed. So either way, it's going to be funny for you guys and for us. For me, rather.
Were you safe?
2-1. I was quite optimistic with the last game. I said 3-0. We won 3-0. I said the game before that. I was quite optimistic. I think we're going to win. But I think we are going to concede one goal under pressure. I think we are going to...
Big Benteke.
I think we're going to concede. I think they're going to get in between. They're going to get behind. They're going to spin Reece Williams or Nat Phillips, either one of them. And they're just going to... I think he's just going to get a shitty tapping goal, to be honest. I think it's going to be like a result of a mistake. You're going to get this little goal in, and then we're just going to come back and get 2 goals. I just think it's going to be a 2-1.
Well, Alan Holloway's, he's been quite positive. He says 5-0 Liverpool.
I'll take that any day of the week.
He said what?
5-0.
I want what he's drinking. You're going to start with James Milner at left back, and Zaha's going to run him ragged.
Hey, Milner's all right. Do you know what? If Milner's at left back tomorrow, I hope he absolutely bodies Zaha and pockets him. Puts him in that pocket.
No chance. He'll just replicate the red card that he produced in the last time out.
Can I some more?
Graz says here, perfectly happy with the 1-0 win. I would too. I'm going to go for a 4-0 Liverpool, 4-1 Liverpool win.
Ooh, now who's being confident?
Because 10,000 fans. That's why. Last day of the season, 10,000 fans. So I'm going to go 4-1. Chris Wells says, Sophie, could you predict the lottery numbers after Britain Burnley score right?
62, 41, 7. Fucking no. Watch them come up now. Honestly, God, watch this. No.
Everyone in the chat, if you haven't yet, do smash that like button and hit the subscribe button if you haven't done. And also tell your friends about us, tell other football fans about us, tell your family about us, that we're available on YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. So, do you have any trivia questions you want to run today?
No, I didn't even make any, to be honest.
Likewise. I don't have any. Okay, so on that note, nothing else in the chat.
Unless anyone in the chat has a trivia question.
Cheers for having me on, guys. It's been decent banter as always, and I look forward to coming back on next season.
Well, Cable Chris says Becca's going to rip you if you lose.
Who's for that?
Chris.
She always rips me anyway. It's funny.
So yeah, Steve, it's been a pleasure having you on. We again next season we'll get you back on because you know you're good Bants and you're good Crystal Palace fan. Otherwise, you know, I don't wish you luck tomorrow, but I wish you luck for the summer in terms of your transfers, and I wish you luck for next season. So it's been amazing as well hosting another show with you. Everyone else in the chat, you've been amazing as always. Like I said before, do smash that like and subscribe button if you haven't done. We will be back tomorrow again. We're going to have team reaction. Then we're going to have obviously the watch along. Join us for that. Then we're going to have the post match, our final post match for the season. So we've got some big 2 guests joining us tomorrow. So make sure that you do come back for that and actually join us for all free. You know, it'd be good to see you there at all free. And if you're going to the match tomorrow, like Chris Welch is going to be going to the match tomorrow, like sing your heart out, you know, because, you know, because the boys are going to need it. Otherwise, everyone, you know, have a great evening. Thanks everyone also who's been watching late with us. Otherwise, up the Reds, and we'll see you all soon.
All right, catch you guys later.